Live from the floor of Mohegan Sun at Terrificon, August 8th, 2026. Hi, this is the Take 12 podcast. That's like
Did you just see Michael Myers standing next to you?
I did. Yeah. Oh boy, it's like a fucking bad ballroom dancing class out here. Sorry guys to start the show off. Taken aback. So here we are again. It's day 2, Terrificon Mohegan Sun at the floor. On the floor here at Terrificon, you find all sorts of people selling crafts and making things and knickknacks.
Selling crack?
Selling crack. Yep. Mayor Washington, D.C. is still here, I'm pretty sure. Knickknacks and peddling their wares, T-shirts and things like that. Chris and Caitlin went out and they found us some incredible craftsmen that are with us today. So, gentlemen, I'm going to let you take it from here. Please introduce yourselves, give us the name of your company, where your booth is located, and tell us what you do.
I listen, I said it on the way up to the booth, ladies first. So Peter, we can also go age before beauty.
What
so,
a gentleman.
We'll go
What a
age before
gentleman.
beauty. So I'm Peter Flynn. The company's name is actually Peter's Custom Designs. I'm a woodworker. I deal with a CNC machine. I deal with lasers. I am at booth. Well, we're both at booth 417 and 419. We have our graphic artist who is at booth next to us, which is Jared Brown. That's booth 420. Yeah, I like to play with wood.
Hey, who doesn't? You teed that one up for us. So it must be, is the competition stiff in the wood industry, or have you seen it go soft in later years because of the economy?
Well, I mostly deal with hardwood, and it's kind of funny because Steve over here, I actually met through Marketplace, and he had my favorite wood, and I had to go over to his house and touch his wood and everything and make sure it was good.
Right.
And yeah, I've come to find out he lived in my actual town. We both are from West Haven, Connecticut, and we became really good friends, and he became my wood guy, and I shaved down his wood once in a while.
It's a classic story of man goes on Facebook Marketplace, man finds other man, men make wood together. I love it. If we're not writing this series by now and pitching it to a streaming service, I don't know why we're still here.
Well, the funny thing is that Steve wanted me to go first, so that was the wrong move to do
that was my first mistake.
The door has been opened. All right, try to follow this up, Steve.
So Steve Johnstone, Hubbard Farm Trades. The reason why it's Hubbard is I'm actually direct bloodline of one of the longest families in the state of Connecticut, and we have the second longest consecutive family reunions in the country. So 2.5 weeks ago, I was running a reunion of number 171 in a row. So wow. I had to give some honor to my past.
Yeah.
With the company.
That's quite the legacy.
Yeah. So so I got elected to president. We're an association and everything. And I took over from my great uncle, 4 years ago? So I'm in charge of all of these Hubbards all across the country, and we have reunions every year.
And how many people does that, like, the reunion usually entail?
So we average anywhere from 50 to 150 people.
Wow.
It gets pretty hectic.
I'm sure it does.
And then we still have the house that we founded in. My parents still live there. I grew up there.
Wow.
So it's
Old Mother Hubbard.
Old Mother Hubbard in the cupboard. The house was built in 1701.
Wow.
He wasn't in his curds and whey.
No, you put it, so when I was playing with like Matchbox cars and stuff as a kid, the Hot Wheels and everything, marbles, the nothing's straight in the house. So it just rolls on its own.
Sure.
So yeah, so Pete and I did meet through Marketplace. I got it. I used to work part-time for an arborist.
Part-time.
Yep. And
Sorry.
I was the weekend help when I was a young buck, and I always wanted to get in some type of woodworking, right? So I actually plow snow. I've been doing snow maintenance for years since I was a kid. Love it. I love the snow, weather, everything. So a couple years back, had a really good winter, kind of like similar to this last one.
Yeah.
And so I went out and I bought a sawmill. Because I
Okay.
started with a chainsaw and I love chainsaws.
Yeah.
And that's not to scare anybody. It's just what happened.
Was it the kit built on the extension ladder?
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, except I was too poor and cheap to even get that.
Yeah.
So I just got the chainsaw with the guidance bar and I was using 2x4s, hoping and praying for a straight cut.
The
DIY.
manly
And so
toy.
I got the sawmill and I started posting slabs for sale on Facebook because my arborist would just drop logs off to the house. And Pete messages me and goes, "Are you really in West Haven?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So we had this old cattle barn that turned into my storage shed and where I dry the slabs. So next thing you know, Pete's like, "Well, I can be there in like 5 minutes. I live in West Haven." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So Pete comes over and he's like, "So what kind of wood you got?" And I'm like, "What kind of wood do you want?"
And a beautiful friendship started from there.
and the legacy started.
The sunset.
The sunset way in the distance.
Yeah.
So with a little
walks
haze
on
and
the
fog
beach.
over it. So I started getting to know Pete. And next thing I know, he's like, so we hadn't talked after the first sale. And then when I posted again, I swear within like 5 minutes of posting, I didn't realize he was like, "I'm following this guy." I get a message. "Steve, it's Pete. I want more.
I want your wood.
I want your wood more." So he comes back over right after work. And so we started to get to know each other. And I started asking, like, "So what are you doing?" He's like, "I got into crafting fairs a while ago and I got this small CNC. I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "What about you?" I was like, "I'm just the wood guy right now." So then I started to tinker and I was like, "You know what? I'm going to give this a go." So I started, and I mean really simple, and it got really old really quickly. I started with the wood burning kit, as cheesy as it sounds.
Hey.
I'm doing stuff by hand,
Yeah.
and I'm like, I am going to get carpal tunnel within a couple of weeks.
Hopefully.
So, yeah.
That's
So-
a lot of wood.
That's a lot of wood. So I had to just start researching laser engravers. I was like, I can't keep doing this. And I had all these ideas in my head. And so did some research, put some money aside, and I got my first laser engraver 5 years ago. And then Pete invited me to do a booth with him at the Guilford Fair. And so me being the farm boy, this is, well, I will admit it. He's the big Star Wars fan. I'm the big Ninja Turtles guy, right? And the gaming kid. So, yeah. So Pete had all this stuff. And I show up with these little rinky-dinky farmhouse themed items.
Don't forget, I had those electric guitars that I was building at the
That's
time
true.
too.
You had the electric guitars too. And like, I think I sold one piece for like $10.
Yeah.
And it was awful.
Yeah.
And so Pete goes, "Listen, you got to be you."
Live, laugh, love.
Yes,
Yeah.
literally.
I told him, you got to be you, man. You got to
be
find
you.
a niche.
He goes, "You
know?
got to find a niche."
Don't
And
sell
so-
shit you could get at Hobby Lobby.
That's right. Exactly.
exactly what I said with
And that
him.
happens to be one of my favorite stores.
Yes.
So I'm like, all right, let me give this a go. So I told the wife, I was like, "Give me a year. If it doesn't work, I tried it." So
And also give the business a chance.
yes, that's true. Pray that it keeps snowing. So I started, I was like, I'm at that stage in my life. I was 35 at the time. And I'm like, I'm at that stage in my life where it's like, if I'm another 35-year-old, what would I enjoy seeing where it's like, it brings me to that happy place.
Right.
So I just started with the turtles. The turtles was my go-to.
Yeah.
So I started making that stuff. Then it was like, well, my other happy place. As a kid, my dad loved playing video games with me. He would tell me the tales of the arcades of him playing Galaga with his best friend and the quarters lining up.
That man's playing Galaga.
There you go. And so he used to yell out during Galaga. I heard from multiple friends of his, when he got in a groove, he would start yelling, "Feel the force, Luke," and just and in the middle of the arcade.
Wow.
So I just started making retro gaming pieces because I wanted to share that. What brings you to that happy place, right? Everybody has crap going on in their lives. Everyone knows somebody's sick. I mean, heck, I've been through some health problems. So has Pete.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a minute, where that kind of brought us closer together as friends. And so next thing I know, we do another show. We do Milford Oyster Festival. We enter Seymour Pumpkin Festival, and we win first
in
place.
wood.
First in wood, Hey. And so next thing you know, Pete looks at me and goes, "Steve, we got to stop doing the small shows." And I'm like, "Well, what are you thinking?" He's like,
Terrificon.
he goes, "I've been researching Terrificon." I was like, "Pete, I got to be honest with you. I have never been to a big con." I was like, I've played sports all my life. I'm the hidden nerd, the vocal jock, right? And there's another great story of what happened here at GamerCon a couple months ago. So we do Terrificon. This is our 4th year. We get a 10x10 booth, and we didn't know what to expect. So we show up, and we're packing and stuff in the booth. And by Sunday morning, we had hardly anything left. Yeah, and Pete and I look at each other, and I go, Pete, did we make the right move? And Pete goes, oh, F yeah, we did. And so
I didn't say it that nicely.
You a little harsher.
You can say fuck yeah.
No, I didn't say fuck yeah either. I said, dude, we fucking nailed it, and we're gonna fucking nail it again, and we're gonna nail it fucking hard because we're doing.
The wood guys are gonna nail
I get
it.
excited about Terrificon.
So next thing you know, we're like, hey, Mitch, we need a bigger booth next year. So it worked out by chance because someone dropped out because Mitch goes, listen, I got to go through order and who's been prior. No problem. And so did a double, then a double. And then this year is our first year on a corner. And then yesterday during Friday, people coming in and out. We've had workers stop in. Oh my gosh, I played that as a kid. Oh my gosh, I went to the movies with my dad for that one.
We are fandom 100%. You look at everything in there, and we are 100% about fandom. You name a character, we most likely have it sitting something.
It's something in there. And if it's not there, we can make it.
Remo Williams.
I can make it.
Jake Speed.
I can make it.
All right.
I can make you.
Got 2 more.
I can put you on wood.
Indiana James.
It's like a keychain.
Yeah, that's like I just went up and actually got an autograph from Ron, and he was like, this is great work, and I was like, thank you, that's my wood, and I'm Irish, and that's the only wood I'm going to be proud of.
Yeah,
but it was no, it's nice when you see somebody like that's famous people.
Yeah,
they're
of course,
complimenting us. I mean, one year we actually had Marty Cove come actually after he was done signing stuff, come into our booth and talk to us for a while and everything about our stuff. Actually placed an order, but something happened and it just disappeared. But I don't know. I emailed, I called them.
The ninja vanished.
Yes, it did. But yeah, I mean, me and Steve have been. Like I said, this is our 4th year here, and we absolutely love it.
So you guys found a niche like to tap into, and this whole place and places like this are about escapism, right?
Absolutely.
And going to the movies or watching TV shows or growing up with these characters and stuff. It's so important for people, like you said, to tap into that part of your childhood, or tap into like those feelings. I told my kids last year, I think it was the 35th anniversary of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cartoon.
Oh, don't get me going. Don't get me going.
Hear his story about that.
You just opened up a can of worms.
I will say this. This is the one place that you can feel like yourself and be yourself,
right,
and not have to worry about that.
Yeah, you're amongst people that are all in the same boat.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Nice jacket, man. Good jacket.
So do you want to hear the Ninja Turtle story that went down?
Oh yeah, last year.
Okay. So for the first couple of years, all I heard from Pete was, this guy from Star Wars is coming, and this guy from Star Wars is coming. That's all I heard. And then last year, Mitch announces the cast from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies coming. And I'm like, oh, baby. So Pete calls me, and he's like, you saw who Mitch got, right? I was like, oh, I'm already planning it. So at the time, I started getting into another little fun project on the side of the laser engraving, and that was making custom leather patch hats. And so wanted to put the creativity to a test, and the whole cast was coming. And so I'm like, you know what? So, and excuse me if I get a little emotional, because 2 years ago at the age of 37, I had a surprising heart attack.
Wow.
Yeah,
and the doctors told me I should not be here. So I had a massive blockage, and someone who ran 8 miles a day, I just retired from semi-pro soccer 7.5 years ago. So I was fit as a fiddle. I didn't have the perfect diet, but I wasn't like, hey, I want a cheeseburger every meal. I was well balanced. I was active. Yeah. And so genetics are a hell of a drug, and I get it from both sides of the family, those damn Scots.
Yikes.
And so, they were amazed that I was alive. Yes, there they are. There's my boys right there. So
that was in our booth.
Yeah. So Kenny Kenny gave me a run for my money. So I decided out of appreciation, for not just a great childhood, but so when I was in the hospital, Netflix and Disney Plus, and they're a beautiful thing on your smartphone. And when you're in there by yourself, and my wife was pregnant with our second daughter at the time.
Ouch.
So everything was just crazy. And so here I am in the hospital, and the nurses are listening to me watch Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the cartoon and the movies, and all they're hearing is cowabunga and this and that. They're like, Mr. Johnstone, are you okay? I'm like, I'm in my happy place. I'm good. Because I'm jacked up on all sorts of meds. And
actually, what it was said was, get out of there.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and order another EEG for Mr. Splinter.
They did not let me order any pizza. That was not allowed on the menu. Very high in cholesterol. So, I'm sitting there just thinking about life. Like, I shouldn't be here. And what the heck? God, this isn't fair. So I watched Turtles. It brought me back to the happy place. So when they came last year, I made them all a custom hat. And I said, listen, you don't know me from a hole in the wall, but I just want to say thank you. Next thing you know, they're just talking to me because, like them, I put my pants on one leg at a time. And I wasn't like oogling over them. They're like, hey, Steve, just come talk and hang out with us. Yeah. So security starts letting me back there. And they're like, we can't believe you made this for us. And I said, well, you guys are doing raffles. So I made a plaque for you guys to sign and raffle off. And it was this big piece of pine. Nothing crazy, but I made something, and I took the logo and I added this fancy ooze canister and I epoxy resined it like it was leaking. So they all signed it in their crazy slogan and stuff. And so Kenny calls me over, Kenny Scott, Raphael, and he's like, Steve, Robbie has to leave early. We can't do the raffle. I'm like, what do you mean you can't do the raffle? I was like, this is a gift from you. I don't want it. Well, you take it. I'm like, but that's not how this works. You guys signed my piece for free made out to me. I can't accept this. So unfortunately, I will admit this. I was an elected official at the time in West Haven. So Kenny goes to me, Steve, you're an elected official. You know people. Just do some good with it. So I made some phone calls, and I'm part of a Facebook group of turtle collectors on Facebook. So I just said, I don't want to deal with eBay. I don't want to deal with Etsy or anything like that because I want to get the most bang for my buck out of this piece for somebody. So a friend of mine, James Sonnet, out of West Haven, works. He's a director for what's called FISH. It's an insecurity food bank for hundreds of families in New Haven County. And so I posted the board on the Facebook group, and a guy offered me $800. His house, I kid you not, in Tennessee. I wish I remembered his name because I give him a shout out. So I call Pete and I go, Pete, this guy just offered me $800. And Pete goes, well, what are you waiting for? So I go, where do you live? Tennessee. My house just burnt to the ground. I lost my entire turtle collection. And I was like, oh my gosh, I got to give it to this guy.
Seems like he's going to need a lot more wood.
He's going to need a lot more wood that I can't provide. So he goes,
because you're Scottish.
That's true. So he goes, I wish I could offer you more, but I lost my entire collection. Would you take $800 for it? I said, absolutely. So he Venmos me the money. I don't like owing people money. I don't like holding money for people. I ran so fast to the bank, and my wife's like, why did you take $800 out? And I said, well, because I deposited $800 and I sold the piece. She goes, well, where's it going? I said, Fish. My buddy James calls me 3 days later, after I donated the money on behalf of the guy. It fed 5 families for 2 weeks.
Jesus.
So I emailed Kenny Scott, and he's like, Steve, that's awesome. I was like, I think I'm onto something here. So last year, Pete was kind of man in the booth, and so when Star Wars was here for the first 2 years, I did not see Pete in the booth at all. He was a kid in a candy store. I didn't know where he went to, and that's fine. So Pete knew I was not going to be around much last year. So then I met James Saito, the original shredder, and I met his lovely wife, Yoon. And so I gifted him a shredder hat. It was a foot plant.
Break in, just so you know, the hat he's wearing is one of his custom hats that he makes. So.
They're great. I love the leather patch hats.
Thank you. This is actually an acrylic one, but I brought one with me, and that's the next funny story of this whole turtle saga. So James stops by with his wife after the show, and they're like, Steve, and I'm like, James is the nicest guy. He played the best shredder, in my opinion. Lethal, nasty, down to earth. Like, the guy could have been a drug dealer in that movie. He was that filthy of a shredder. nice as pie. Like you just wouldn't expect it. Next thing I know, his wife Eunice calling me going, we want to order hats for James to sign at the shows. So now James is calling me every month or so going, Steve, I'm going to New York Comic Con. I need hats. Steve, I'm going to San Diego. I need hats.
Wow.
So then what was worst was it was a very depressing moment for me. So Kevin Eastman was here last year and it was so packed. I didn't get a chance. So that was like really depressing. So then Eastman shows up as part of the clan down in New Jersey for their Comic Con, the Garden State Con. So I tell my wife, I said, I got to go. It's an hour and a half drive. So I go, I made a hat for Kevin. He gives me a free signature on my favorite Turtles game growing up, which was the NES Manhattan Project, because I played it with my dad.
Yeah.
A lot of controller throwing as a 6-year-old with that with my dad. And so I met Paige Turco, Kevin Clash. And so I gave Kevin Clash a hat and he looks at me and he's like, did you really make this? I said, yes, I did.
Kevin, I love you.
So, yeah. So I was like, what can I do to avoid any copyright problems or anything like that? So, of course, I had to watch the movie again. And then I had to talk to my graphic artist, Jared Brown, at Darkstream Studios over there in booth 421 next to us. And I said, well, what if I used what I used for James's hat were quotes from the movie and we do a special design with it? So Shredder got a metallic helmet of him and on the, with a acrylic patch like the one I'm wearing. And then on the other side, he got a red leather patch that says, this is your family and I am your father. And it's like all ripped up. He can't keep it on the table. And so Kevin Clash, when I met him, I said, I have a gift for you. And he's like, why would you have a gift for me? So I told him the story and he's like, really? So I made him an all fathers care for their sons, which is Splinter's most emotional, right? And so Kevin just looks at me and he goes, I don't usually do this, but do you have a card? I was like, I do.
Wow.
So then it gets even better. So Pete calls me again this year. He goes, Mitch just released this year. It's the Turtle Crew from the cartoon. I'm like, you're killing me, dude. I was like, you're probably not going to see me. So I spent all yesterday, for the most part, meeting all those guys from Renee Jacobs, who literally did just call me on my cell phone. Which
He did while we were waiting.
While we're waiting, I was like, who is this Los Angeles number? So she's like, Renee, Steve, it's Renee, April O'Neil from News Channel 6.
No shit, I've heard that voice in my dreams.
And I'm like, yeah, right. And I'm
Yes,
like,
he did.
I'm like, this might be a middle school fantasy. So she's like, I need you to come back to my booth when you have a chance. I'm like, okay. So what Pete and I have really started to do is we started to really showcase the creativity for what we do. So I'm going to let Pete go first on this one because I've already told my story, and I'll tell my story afterward of this year. So Pete made his Star Wars piece, and we always kind of work out the schedule of who's going to be here. And so Pete goes, I made a custom Star Wars piece. I got to go get it signed. I'm like, absolutely no problem. I'll man the booth. Go do your thing. So Pete, I'm going to give the floor back to you because...
No, I didn't get it signed, remember? That was the problem.
Oh, that's right.
That's right, yeah. I tried.
But what about the Zahn, though? What was
you're talking about today? You're talking about
this con?
I'm talking about this one. First one. Okay.
No, I'm talking about this one.
So yeah, all right. So I'm 53 years old. So I was like 4 or 5 years old when I saw the original Star Wars. I saw it at the drive-in theater in New Haven with my dad and my mom and my brother and my sister on our station wagon. And growing up, I've read pretty much every book. Probably not every book, but it seems like it. But one of my favorite authors was Timothy Zahn with the whole Thrawn thing and everything. And I really, really got into it. And so when I heard he was going to be here today, I actually created the one of a kind. I even told him, I said I wasn't going to create any more, but I actually took the image of his book, Ascendancy. And I actually had him went over there and I explained to him, I told him that, he was my favorite author, one of 3, but he is my ultimate favorite author. I am a truck driver by trade, And I actually, driving overnights, I was actually listening to his books instead of listening to music, which I'm also a musician. And I just really just got into all his books and everything, all his songs.
There she is,
Hey,
April O'Neil.
how you doing?
Breaking news.
Yeah, breaking news. She'll take anybody's wood. Trust me. Just ask Luke.
So yeah, I mean, it was really cool. You know, he looks at it and he actually comes around and takes a picture with me, you know, and really, really nice guy. And he was like, you know, he seemed very impressed with the artwork and everything I did, which unfortunately is actually the cover is below his book. So it's not my actual artwork,
Right.
but I did put it on the wood. I did actually have to, you know, redraw it in the system. It's tracing actually, but I did do that. He seemed very appreciative of the work and everything. It was a really nice experience. And like I said, I mean, it was really cool meeting someone. It wasn't like a Star Wars character. Yeah, there's the picture of me and Timothy. I mean, you can see I'm flying high right there.
Nice job.
That
Tina,
smile
pulling
was
that up.
there
Good job.
all afternoon.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, you know, yeah, I mean, you can meet Mark Hamill and stuff, but you know what? He's like one of the creators of Star Wars. You know, he's the storyteller. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, like, you know, meeting George Lucas, you know, they're the storytellers. That's where it came from.
You know,
So-
and from, you know, all those people that create all those things, they're giving all the time.
Yeah.
And for them to be able to have, you know, get something in return, which is made by people that have inspired them and like been with them late nights and then bridged gaps between like troubled relationships with families and stuff like that. Cause sometimes
That's right.
the common thread is just something goofy.
Yeah.
You know, it can be something as simple as watching football with your dad or your uncles or going to a game or bonding over Red Dawn or Batman or
Right.
anything, you know?
See, that's what Star Wars was for.
Leonard
was,
Part 6.
was actually for me because unfortunately my father had passed away when I was 7 years old. I mean, he passed away just after my 7th birthday. And I just delved into the fantasy of Star Wars big time. And I read all the comic books I would get and books and Tales of the Bounty Hunter. I mean, Boba Fett was one of my favorite characters. And, you know, it's just, I don't know. I just kind of got lost in it. It was like, I'm not going to say it replaced my dad. Nothing will ever replace my dad. But, you know, all that writing and fantasy kept me sane all those years, you know, as a kid, you know? And I think it also kept me, you know, artistically, you know, because like I said, I'm a musician. I'm a drummer. I'm a bass player. I write, you know, I do write music. I haven't done it a long time because I have nerve damage in my hand now. So I really don't play that often. But I really got into the woodworking, and the reason I got into the woodworking was because my son went into the Marine Corps about 9 years ago, and I ended up with empty nest syndrome. You know, wow, yeah, dad ended up with empty nest syndrome, but my boys are my entire life because I didn't have my dad. I made sure I did everything with my boys. So and I'm probably gonna destroy his name because I always do it, but Jason Pascarita from I want to say Jaybird Customs. He's now in Tennessee and he does a lot of good woodworking and stuff. I went to him and I said, "Hey, listen, I got this K-bar from my boy, you know, when he's graduating from the Marine Corps. I said, I want to do a nice display, but I don't know what I'm doing, you know?" And I said, I want to cut this thing out. So he shows me how to use a scroll saw. I cut out the Marine Corps symbol, and he helps me build a box. We put an LED light system in there and a little stand to hold the K-bar. And it was funny because it was almost like pumpkin carving, you know, with the scroll saw. And I got done with that, and I was like, "Ah, cool," you know. And Jay gave me a lot of little, handy tips and stuff. And you know, I'll always, you know, thank him as, you know, the guy that got me started into the woodworking. And yeah, I mean, I exploded. All of a sudden, you know, I had friends like, "Hey, can you do this? And can you do that?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll do it." And I was just making things for friends.
Yeah. It's an incredible skill.
Yeah.
You know?
And to where I'm at now, 9 years later, it's night and day.
Yeah.
And I've made actual urns for people that are custom for their dogs and stuff.
Well, with the evolution of the technology, like laser cutting and stuff like that too, and you're able to upload files and custom images, and then they can just cut them out.
Yeah, I mean,
so I know my friend Dave here, who's a Grinch suit performer and a Freddy Krueger performer.
Nice.
That's like, he's an EMT, but like he has a whole side hustle where he just does laser engraving and wood and stuff.
That's comforting. My nitroglycerin, in case something happens, is in my booth.
Oh, Dave handles them all the time.
That's
Trust
not
me.
nitro. It's actually Tic Tacs.
Don't confuse the two. But he just made a custom fireplace cover for one of our friends. That with these, like, it's the family crest laser cut in the center with the last initial of the family name, and then he made these 6-inch squares on each corner with a circle cut out in the center for your drink to go in the middle, and it just made a basic fireplace cover look so much cooler. Not to mention every year it's like custom Grinch ornaments, like with my kids' names on. I'm like, it's just so cool.
Well, that's like me, unfortunately. Like, we were talking about tragedies that happened. March 3rd of this past year, I had lost my youngest son. He was 22 years old. He was Down syndrome and autistic. He had a heart failure. Found him on the bathroom floor. I turned his room into a craft room. And honestly, it bothered the hell out of me that I did it at first. And one of the things that, was pointed out to me by family members was, for months, I stopped working with the wood. I stopped going in my basement, stopped working with the wood and everything. And I couldn't understand why I wasn't doing it, because it had nothing to do with it. And what had actually happened was, and Steve can, say about this.
I bothered him maybe once every other week just to check in on him. And, in your time, it will happen.
Yeah, but what it ended up doing was I turned his room into like a craft room with my lasers. And I was going in there every night after work and just lasering. And it was brought to my attention that the reason why I stopped woodworking for months was because I was actually spending time with my son in that room. So like we said, we had tragedies and stuff. And believe it or not, I have not one piece that I have ever made hang in my house. I don't own anything that I've actually created.
I believe it. I know a lot of people that are. Yeah.
Huh?
How did we get on the podcast?
You might want to talk to her. So, sorry about that.
Jesus, what we need is a big on-air sign, I guess.
I guess.
So,
sorry, buddy. Bad timing.
Where's April O'Neil? Breaking news.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's funny because I set up the room. I have all these pictures up on the room and stuff. And my oldest son, him and his wife live on the 3rd floor now. And notice I was just spending a lot of time in there and just working with the lasers, and all his pictures are right in front of me. So yeah, I'm just trying to be closer to him. So I did stop at the woodworking. But a couple of years ago, I did get a signature from Michael Rooker.
Yep.
And it is him as Yondo, and it's at Best Dad in the Galaxy, and it was signed by him.
Jesus.
And as I'm putting this room together, and I put up all the pictures of my son Hunter, I saw that sitting in the pile. It was the first wood piece that I ever hung, and I'm like, no, it's got to be in this room with me. And going forward now, is every Terrificon that we do, I am going to make something for myself and hang in my son's bedroom, because it's not my craft room; it's my son's bedroom, and it's just one way of me being closer with him. What I did before Terrificon started, a month before, pushed myself downstairs and started getting the wood going again, because that is my main.
My inbox filled very quickly, where my phone's like, you're out of storage. It was just picture after picture of all these new wood pieces he was making. And I just sat there. I said, thank you, Lord Jesus. He's back.
Well, I'm glad that you guys are back. You certainly seem like you're good for each other. And to use a carpentry phrase, well-jointed relationship.
Oh yeah.
You're definitely made for each other. And sorry for that loss. What an incredible story. And
appreciate that.
Yeah, no, I think what you guys do is great. I love that you've tapped into this culture. I'm glad that these people have embraced you. And
do you want to hear story part 2 of what happened this year?
Yeah, sure.
So Pete showed his piece. I'll let the fans.
He showed his piece.
He showed his piece.
Isolated.
He showed his wood.
I showed my wood.
I'll let the fans decide whose piece is cool.
Notice whose wood's bigger though.
Let's hear it for the Scotsman versus the Irish. The Irish. So last year's piece was the turtle logo with the ooze canister and the epoxy resin, and I had the whole cast sign that. So this year I was like, it's got to be a different piece because I'm in the middle of redoing my office. So I decided to go with the classic cartoon. And so baby. So
I think she's just glad you brought it up so you can actually see it.
oh, yeah, there you go.
That's perfect right there. Yep.
So I bring it over there and everyone's looking at me like, what does this guy have? And so I gifted every single one of the voice actors, all 4 turtles and Renee. I gave them their own special hat, a brim clip, a coaster. Wow. It was all done. And I just thanked them on behalf of my childhood. And they didn't look at me like I was crazy. They were just confused because, usually it's, what can I get out of the celebrity?
Sure.
So they're just looking at me and they're like, so wait, what? You're a vendor? And I'm like, yes. So next thing I know, I got to sprint back to the booth because I don't have any business cards in my pocket because they're all at the booth. And so when I literally say Renee called me while I'm waiting in line to get on the podcast here. So I had a great conversation with Rob Paulson. He was the voice of Raphael. And so Rob was diagnosed with throat cancer a couple years back. And so I told him my story of like the therapy and how, he had the throat cancer. Rob and I are just hitting it off. And I apologize to the people behind me because I was trying to be short and quick because I get it. Waiting in line is not fun. Rob looks at me and goes, dude, I don't normally do this, but do you have a business card? And so he whips off his hat, puts my hat on, and everyone starts clapping for him because it's a Raphael patch. And then Renee's like, I want a card. And Danny Gordon's like, I need a card. I'm like, okay, here you go. Everyone gets a card. Now, we go back to New Jersey. Here's the final tell of the tale after Kevin Clash. So I see this guy walking around, and he's wearing a Turtles hat. And I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I know that hat because I made that hat. And I'm like, I only made one of those hats, and I gave it to Danny Reyes Jr., who played Donatello. So I walk up to him. He's behind one of the tables, and I say, excuse me, sir. I was like, that's a pretty cool hat you got on. He's like, thanks. He's like, Donatello gave it to me. I was like, really? He goes, yeah, Danny Reyes? I was like, oh, yeah, he played Donatello in the first. Yeah. And he goes, so you know who he is? I said, well, I gave him that hat. And so he froze, and he goes, oh, my gosh, you're Steve. And this is in the middle of New Jersey. So he goes, I apologize. I lost your number. Can I have a card and your number? He goes, I have a special project for you. Now, this is a month ago. So I go, what's this project? He goes, I know it's last minute, and I know you're doing a lot. He goes, are you going to be at Terrificon this year? I said, I am. I'm going to be with my buddy Pete and our graphic artist, Jared Brown. And he goes, I have Leah Thompson as one of my agents from Back to the Future. I said, oh, I know exactly who she is. He goes, could you make a prototype hat for her? And he goes, I apologize, it's last minute. So on my way home from New Jersey, I'm screaming at Jared. And then I call Pete. I'm like, I got to come up with an idea for Leah Thompson. So here I am Thursday night after setup. It's 11 o'clock and I'm trying to finish this prototype. And then I finished it yesterday morning at 5:30 a.m. So Leah couldn't make it yesterday. So I held off. I shoot over first thing. I see Scott. He sees me. You get the warm embrace. How you doing? And he goes, were you able to do it? And I said, here it is. So it's on her table over there. We went with the, what is Leah's, the mother's character? What is her focus in Back to the Future? It's all based around the dance when she fell in love with the dad. So Jared and I decided we got to make an enchantment under the sea hat. We've got to do something cool with aquatic. So Jared kind of looks through photos and I watched the movie twice. And coincidentally, they had a Back to the Future marathon going on. I was like, perfect, just hit play. So I was like, we got to do aquatic colors. So I went with a neon orange mesh. And then I went with like a grayish front. And the patch I made out of a teal leather.
Yeah.
And we put the fish, the picture of the fish on the banner above the band when Marty McFly is playing with the band, the fish with the Triton.
Yeah.
So I bring it over. There's a huge line of people. And they're just kind of waving me over. And believe me, I'm one of those guys. I don't like to rock the apple cart. You know, my dad, there it is. So there it is. That hat is on display over
Johnny
at the
be
booth.
good.
Yep. And so I felt terrible. I felt terrible this morning because there's this huge line of people and she just got there and they just want me to cut the line. So I kind of go to the side and then the next thing I know, I'm behind the table and everyone's looking at me like, who the F? Who the hell is this guy? So she comes over, she sees the hat. She goes, who are you and what is that? And I said, well, I'm Steve and I have a booth here and I'm with my buddy Pete. And I made this for you. Scott asked me to make you this prototype. And she's like, can you sign it for me? And I'm like, wait a minute, hang on, let's pump the brakes here. I said, it's a prototype. So I started telling her the story of the hats from a year ago. And so she's like, we'll talk later. And so her agent's like, come back later. And then her security person's like, Steve, I'm going to try and bring her by the booth. No promises, but we'll see. I said, no problem. So potentially now, not only do I have to make hats for Shredder every month or so, but I think I might be making some enchantment under the sea hats going forward. We'll play it by ear.
What a problem to have.
I know the problems of adults these days. I tell you.
I think the moral of the story is to just keep making more hats.
Yeah.
I guess, you know.
And come to Terrificon.
I mean, you could just do mock-ups of the images of the hats, not even make the hats, and then just tag certain celebrities in the images.
That's the yeah. That's
And then they go,
the
"Oh, this is the guy that I sat next to last month."
Hey,
and
that's Steve.
That's
Yeah.
Steve.
yeah. All right,
Pete's friend.
guys, we need to wrap this up because we have somebody coming on in like 12 minutes or so.
All right, man.
Thank you so much. Can you hold up your pieces again one more time so we just get shots? And plug your booth, 417, is that correct?
417, 419, and 421.
And who's
Yep.
your buddy who's the graphic designer?
Jared Brown. He just debuted his next comic book.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you, guys. And where
Thanks
can we
for
find you?
having
Got
us.
social medias or websites or anything that you can
Yep.
plug?
I mean,
We'll get it plugged in.
All right.
all right.
There's always an outlet somewhere.
All right. Thanks, guys. We appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having us. We appreciate
All
it.
right.
Thank you.
Take care. From the floor of Terrificon Day 2, this is the Take 12 podcast. And continue watching the live stream. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks.